Hey, it's Rob. Wax Wednesday. Stuff I picked up. Can you believe this is our 20th week already? 20th episode. Wow. Where's the time gone? I'll tell you, I know where my money's gone. Yeah, we picked up more stuff this past week. And if you are a fan of this, I try to do this weekly. Sometimes if it's a long weekend, I'll give myself that break because I normally film these on Mondays. But if you know someone that would be interested in this, please do the old like and share sort of thing. Comment if you've been buying records. Love to see what you're picking up. Or, very importantly, subscribe. And yeah, we'll do this every week, or most weeks. So let's get started. This past week, of course, the traditional record stores came into play. They usually do. But, of course, we also made another stop at a merch table. This past Saturday night, the MRTI agency, which I'm a part of, along with Krista and Emma Chevery, we hosted a show at the Charlotte Street Arts Center that was simply phenomenal. If you get wind that Kellie Loder is coming to your town, do yourself a favor and buy a ticket. And when you go to the show, pick up one of these. This is the Transitions album. This is Kellie's latest vinyl. It came out last spring, but this stuff is still pretty fresh. It was to me, hearing it primarily for the first time Saturday night at the show. Kellie is the complete package. Great singer. They're a fantastic songwriter, entertainer, storyteller. Being from Newfoundland, blessed with that great sense of humor as well. Trust me, it's a highly entertaining show for someone with just a microphone and a guitar. People don't do it much better than Kellie Loder. A little background on Kellie. Kellie was a runner-up in one of those Canadian talent things. So they got the benefit of the promotion of the show, but, kind of made their own mark as an artist. And hats off to them. Again, a great release. I put this on right after the show. And the vocals, they're just like butter. This is a great sounding album. Once again, Kellie Loder, Transitions. Wow. I can't wait to see Kellie Loder perform again. So, number one. Last week we were talking about jazz and how I was a little uncomfortable talking about jazz because I don't even consider myself a jazz authority of any sort. And I made that quite clear last week. I just happen to like it, and I'm liking it more and more and more. The last few years have been big jazz years for me. But I also mentioned last week how much of a jazz fan can I consider myself. I don't even have any Charlie Parker. I don't own any Bird. Yeah, some jazz fan. Now I do. This is Charlie Parker, a 2 LP comp simply called Parker. It's a pretty cool release. When you listen to this, though, you do get the magnificence of his playing, and how all the greats considered him the great. But this stuff is primarily from the 40s, and the fidelity is, you can hear the brilliance of Bird and his playing, but the recordings are weak as far as sonic. And when you look at how nice or how great jazz records were beginning to sound as we moved into the late 50s into the 60s, like think about A Kind of Blue or a Blue Train or something like that, and those are just sweet sounding records. These sound a little primitive, but I think a lot of these were transcribed from 78s. So, there is that. But again, you can hear the brilliance of this guy is playing. And, he's, again, one of these guys that's, you know, been used as an index or some sort of something that players measure themselves up against. And again, his brilliance was without question. But unfortunately, with his brilliance came the addiction to heroin, to alcohol. You know, people make mention of how brilliant he was even when he was high, which is unfortunate because that led to a generation of talent, you know, also trying to do what Bird did and try to be productive and performing so amazingly under the influence. Some other talents kind of burned out their lives by trying to emulate Parker. And let's face it, as far as the success story goes, let's put things in perspective here. Yes, he did have the amazing ability to perform under the influence, but his addictions ended his life at the age of 35. When the coroner came to pick up the body, the coroner guessed that his age was somewhere between 50 and 60. So that goes to show, as far as, a success story, you really have to question that. But when you talk about music, he is one of the geniuses that all the others hold in such high regard. Unfortunately, there's a negative side to that as well, and Charlie Parker's a pretty good example of that. So, anyway, 2 LP set. Finally get some Parker in my collection. So there, am I a jazz fan now? Am I good? I hope so. Next up, I've had this one a few times over the years. I think this might be the 3rd or 4th time I've owned a copy of Patti Smith's Horses, but I'm going to keep this one. It's a nice pressing. It's a 180 gram. It's a European pressing. It sounds fantastic. Again, this is a groundbreaking album. When you look at what Patti brought to music, her contributions again are lyrically much like Dylan did in the 60s. Dylan changed the vocabulary of popular music. Patti kind of did the same thing with punk. She's considered the godmother of punk rock. But when you listen to the music, it's not like the traditional punk rock like you'd expect. And it's a great example as to how New York and London differed in their punk scenes, and those were the 2 main ones in the 76, 77 period. It was New York and London that were kind of leading the charge, but both of them came from different places, really. Where on the UK side of things, it was very politically charged. It was very emotionally driven. It was young. It was angry. On the New York side of things, it was more like art-based. It was more like, kind of rewriting the rule of popular music and changing the way things were done and beating up the status quo. That's what New York punk was all about. And Patti's a great example of that. Prior to becoming a performer, like she's in her late 20s here, but she's already had, a career as a rock journalist. She's had poetry published. She's a downtown performer. Actually, when she first started to perform her poetry, it was Lenny Kaye who was backing her up with just a guitar. He's part of this band here and has been a big part of the Patti Smith group through most of the years. As far as I'm concerned, I saw her perform in Brooklyn about a year and a half ago. It was her birthday gig, and Lenny Kaye was in that band along with her son from her marriage with Fred Sonic Smith. So yeah, it was great to see all those people sharing the stage together. Patti Smith, again, look at the image. That's kind of a groundbreaking image. At the time, 1975, women in music, this is the disco era. Things were very ornamental and kind of background vocalish in a lot of ways. Either that or you were a sensitive singer-songwriter. Those seemed to be your 2 options until Patti Smith came along. Like just what she's conveying here, the androgyny, of this photo, which was taken by the famous photographer and her best friend, Robert Mapplethorpe, who passed away as a victim of AIDS in the 80s. But he was very good to Patti in her career, giving her some great images, especially early on. They were best friends. They were, I believe, at one point, lovers. And they actually, or Patti put out a book not that long ago about their relationship together. It was called Just Kids, and it's a real touching look at just two souls finding each other when they're looking for some sort of comfort. Anyway, Patti Smith's Horses, produced by the Velvet Underground's John Cale. Just a groundbreaking album. Again, it's not punk like as in 3-chord angst. It's more like fusing garage rock with poetry and creating something new. And something new is kind of what New York punk was all about. So Patti Smith and the legendary Horses album. Love this record, and this sounds fantastic. Finally, one more before we wrap here. This would be a bucket list item for me, as far as it's not my grail, but it's close to. I would say it's in my top 20 list. So thankfully I can take it off now. It is the David Bowie Sound and Vision 6 LP set, which came out as Ryko disc. We're reissuing the Bowie catalog from 1969, Man of Words, Man of Music, right on up to Scary Monsters, and all points in between. This was kind of the sampling of his career that kind of launched that campaign. It came out in vinyl, it came out in CD, and it came out in cassette. I have the cassette one. Now I have the vinyl 6 LP set. The other format was CD, and it was a 4 CD set. 3 were music, 1 was CD-ROM technology. One thing I would like to say about this, it's an amazing package. I think I got things put together upside down here. Yes, it's supposed to be like this. Things just got really clumsy all of a sudden. There. Got through that. Okay, it comes with this lovely top cover. Very nice. 3 double albums, so making a 6 LP set. All the vinyl is like a kind of light green opaque. It's called virgin vinyl. I'm not really sure exactly what they mean by that. But it's very cool. It's a nice set. This came out in 1989. I believe it was the following summer that I saw him perform at Moncton's Coliseum on this tour, which was to retire the hits for once and for all. His guitarist was Adrian Belew. It was at the Moncton Coliseum. I think the cost was $32.50 to see Bowie in a room that seated less than 8,000 people, a hockey rink in New Brunswick. Wow. I took that. What a show that was. Only time on the tour he brought out White Light, White Heat. That's what he told us anyway. But one thing I do notice about this, the vinyl itself is very thin. You know, we talk about 180-gram vinyl today. I think this stuff would be pushing it to say it would be anywhere between 80 and 100 grams because it's very flimsy. But again, by 1989, they're trying to move out of vinyl. But that's probably the thinnest specialty vinyl I've ever had. Still sounds great, though. No regrets. A wonderful box set. And great liner notes with each album on the gatefold. So that's my Wax Wednesday this week. Some great stuff I picked up. If you picked up anything, let us know in the comment section. I'd love to see what you're getting and what you're listening to. And please, if you like, subscribe. And we'll talk to you in 7 days. Wax Wednesday stuff I picked up. That's it for today. Cheers.